Olympic National Park is a stunning place with moss-covered trees in an ancient forest, rugged beaches covered in driftwood, and majestic mountains towering above you. The area was set apart as a monument in 1909 and became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1981. You need at least a week to do this park justice, but if you only have a limited time like we did, then here's how you can spend 24 hours exploring Olympic National Park. We were heading north, so we stayed outside of the park in the southern section and then headed in for the day. Hey everybody, I'm here with Pops, and today we're exploring Olympic National Park. Our first two stops deal with trees, this one being the world's largest spruce tree is what we're heading to. This first hike was in the Lake Quinault area, and it was actually a little bit difficult for us to find, but eventually we saw a turnout with the world's largest spruce tree sign. Pop's first view of the world's largest spruce.
Very impressive.
58 feet in circumference, 191 feet tall, about 1,000 years old. I'm actually surprised by the fact that there's no gate or barrier or anything to keep people from climbing on the roots. There's my dad, 6'7", and there is the tree. That is a big tree. First stop down, also I think you could have parked right there. We did a maybe half-mile trail because we didn't know where we were going, but if you want to do it, you probably park right next to it. After hiking back to our car, we continued along Lake Quinault to the famous lodge. This is a beautiful hotel that was built in 1926 by famed architect Robert Reamer, who also built the Old Faithful Inn in Yellowstone. In case you're wondering, there's lots of evidence of Bigfoot, and it's not Pops. There's an actual Bigfoot.
It could be a relative of mine, but...
One of the most beautiful parts of the property is the back area right along the lake, so be sure to check that out before you leave, and I hope to stay here in the future. It's a pretty awesome spot. Olympic National Park is known for its temperate rainforests, some of the best you can see in the entire world. I talked to the person at the visitor center, and then they said that this rainforest trail is definitely worth doing. It's only a half-mile round trip. They said that it has less moss than the famous one we're going to later, but that you should see both of them. And we're like, we should see both of them. While the Hoh Rainforest is impressive and one of the reasons people visit this park, this is a great trail, especially because there's not a lot of people who come hike this one.
The information about this trail says it's disability accessible, but just be aware that it is kind of gravelly. Depending upon the thickness of the wheels of your chair.
About 5 minutes after you start the hike, you'll get to this walkway that's elevated over the small creek below you. This was easily the best part of the trail, as the views here are stunning with the massive trees and the water running beside. This is a beautiful half-mile trail. I would definitely say do it, and I'm excited to see how the other rainforest is after this one. Here's the sign that shows which part is wheelchair accessible, so it does stop right there and right there. We took our time finishing the half-mile nature trail, and we only saw 2 other people the entire time we were doing it. If you're down in this part of the park, that was absolutely a must-do trail, especially the first half when you're walking along the creek. Beautiful. But we're heading on to see something I've been wanting to see for years. As we make our way to the next spot, I want to tell you that this national park is massive and everything takes a lot longer to drive between than you think it's going to. Next up, I've been wanting to see this for so long, ever since I saw a picture online, and I was afraid it was going to die before I got a chance to see it. But unless it died last night, I think we're going to see it right now. Ignore my super white feet, but here it is. The Tree of Life. Look at how cool that is. Located next to Quinault Lodge, the Tree of Life defies nature with the way that it's able to grow and stay alive hanging from the 2 cliffs. You can tell when you come inside, this thing is just continuing to deteriorate. The side's coming in and it's barely hanging on, so if you want to see this, who knows, it could be here for another year, 10 years, or 2 days. I read online that every time there's a big storm, they go back worried that the tree's no longer going to be there. It's become a small tourist attraction over the years after pictures were posted of it online, and I have to say it is pretty impressive to see, but definitely go see it sooner rather than later. I know it might not seem like much, but that's something I've wanted to see for a long time, and there's fewer and fewer of those things nowadays, so I am so excited to check that off. It was everything that I hoped it would be. What'd you think of Tree of Life, Pops?
That Tree of Life is amazing. It's definitely worth seeing. It's just kind of hanging on like this, both sides, like almost like grasping with its hands. It's really cool.
From Tree of Life, we continued heading north with lots of great coastal views in between the big trees. Our next destination was to go to Ruby Beach, which is another of the very popular stops in the park. Ruby Beach has an overlook which you can take it in from, but if you're feeling up for it, I definitely recommend the 1/4 mile hike down to the beach itself. I've been here a few times, but I've never been here when it's clear, and it's beautiful when it's clear. This is one of those beaches that you could easily spend a half day at, as there's lots of interesting driftwood that washes up along the beach, there's a small rock arch in the middle, and you can walk north and see lots of massive rocks out in the water. Do note that some of the areas can be impassable at high tide, so you might not be able to walk as far as you want when the tide's up. This park is blowing my mind, and we still have the main rainforest plus waterfalls to see before we're done. All right, Pops, now let's go get in line for the Hoh Rain Forest.
Let's go do it. I'm ready.
From Ruby Beach, it's about a 20-minute drive to the turnoff for the Hoh Rain Forest, and then it's about 35 to 40 minutes to get there from the turnoff. This is a beautiful drive that goes along the water and goes under towering trees. I thought maybe we were gonna get lucky and have no problems, but we are stopped now at the expect 45-minute delays, so we did not get lucky and we have a 45-minute delay at noon. I had read that you want to get into this part of the park before 10 a.m. if you don't want to wait, but unfortunately that didn't work for our schedule. I've heard horror stories about how bad the wait time was, but it wasn't bad for us. It took about 20 minutes and we are at the next car. It's about another 10-minute drive to get to the parking area. Along the way, you'll have beautiful views of the river going alongside of you, and then depending on how busy it is, you may have to circle around a little bit to find a parking spot. There's a small visitor center here with some exhibits and some things that you can purchase, plus you can ask any questions of the rangers that you have. But the main reason to come here are the 2 short trails that allow you to see the temperate rainforest. And now on the Hall of Mosses trail, and it is very busy here, so let's see how this goes. The Hall of Mosses and the Spruce Nature Trail are each around a mile long, and those are the 2 things that everybody does when they come. There's also a longer Hoh River Trail, but we didn't get to do that one on this trip. Both of these trails are relatively flat, but there is 50 feet of elevation gain on the Hall of Mosses trail to get up to where the main part of the trail starts. Alright, we're now officially entering the Hall of Mosses. This is supposedly the oldest part of the forest, and it's where you'll see the biggest trees and the most moss covering them. I had no idea what to expect when I visited this trail, as I had just seen some crazy pictures of it online. I have to say that once you get past the first 5 or so minutes, it's pretty impressive with how massive these trees are and how much moss is draped off of them. There's a little offshoot about halfway through the Hall of Mosses trail. Do not miss it. This is the coolest thing we've seen so far. Look at this amazing grove that we're in right now.
This is so interesting. The softness of this almost gives it like an animal appearance rather than a tree. It really gives you an unusual vibe, like it's fur.
It does kind of look like fur. Something from like the movie Avatar. And look at this one with all the 3 of them growing off of it. From here, the rest of the trail is awe-inspiring at every turn, and it's really one of those things that you have to see yourself, as pictures and videos will never do it justice. Tree looks like it wants to fight you. It's got his fist up.
And it's cool, the little feathery stuff on there. I mean, you look at it close, it's like little feathers almost.
The only way I can describe some of the things that you see on this trail is otherworldly. It doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before, and it is pretty impressive. We took probably an hour to do this 1 mile trail as we kept stopping to look at all of the different trees and unique features that it had. Definitely give yourself time as it's less than a mile, but you're really going to want to experience it. We made it back and now we're heading out on the second 1 mile trail, the Spruce Trail. If you do the Hall of Mosses first, this trail is definitely a lot less impressive than that one is. That being said, it's still a beautiful and short trail that's well worth doing, especially if you found a parking spot all the way out here. The highlight is definitely the halfway point where you reach the Hoh River, and this is a great spot to stop and have some lunch or just to take a break and to soak in the beautiful views. If you're looking for a good picnic spot, take your lunch out there and eat there. I wish we had something to eat. I would have sat there for longer, but that's a beautiful spot for a picnic.
Yeah.
It pops next to this massive tree. It's just covered in moss, and it's like, he looks like a little tiny guy.
For those of you who will understand, no, I haven't seen the Entwives anywhere. I have no idea where they went.
That was a reference from the book Twilight, Pop's favorite book.
Twilight. That's the Lord of the Rings.
These two trails are beautiful and absolutely must-dos. If you're in the southern section though, definitely do that Rainforest trail as well. Completely different, not as much moss, but equally beautiful. Also, I have to say this park is a lot bigger than I anticipated it being. I thought I was gonna do a lot more in a day than I'm able to, but we're heading on to a few more stops. By the time we got back to our car, it was already early afternoon and we realized we hadn't had lunch yet. We headed north, and basically the only decent-sized town in the middle of the national parks is Forks, Washington, known for its connection to the Twilight book and movie series. Forever Twilight and Forks. Are you Team Edward or Team Jacob, Pops?
Probably Team Gollum.
If you're interested in Twilight stuff, then be sure to stop at the Visitors Bureau as they have lots of information and even a driving map that you can use to find different locations. In case you're wondering like me if Twilight is no longer cool, that is far from the truth. They told me they had the most busy time ever for people coming to experience Twilight like 3 months ago, so it is going strong. Pops and all the other Twilight fans are coming to Forks. It's 3 o'clock and we're finally getting lunch. There weren't a lot of fast options, so we headed to Sully's Burgers as we had a lot to explore in the national park still. I got a bacon cheeseburger with onion rings, and Pop's got a grilled chicken sandwich, French fries. Hard to beat after 5.6 miles of hiking is what we've done so far. It's not gonna win any awards, but it's a good burger spot, especially after a day of hiking. A few more stops. If you want to take a break from exploring the national park or Twilight, check out John's Beachcombing Museum in Forks. It's a really fun stop. Basically, it's a collection of thousands and thousands of items that one man has found on the beach over the last few decades. It's pretty nuts how many different things he's found, including a motorcycle. From Forks, it's about an hour to drive to our next stop, with about 30 minutes of that off of Highway 101 up into the mountains. We're on our way to our last stop of the day, which is Sol Duc Falls, but the salmon cascades are right here, which is a waterfall. During certain times of the year, you can actually see the salmon jumping, but I don't think we're here at the right time. It was a beautiful and easy stop right off the road, but not as impressive when there isn't any salmon. This is the last stop on our trip to Olympic National Park, Sol Duc Falls. 0.8 miles. Pop has got to get his stretch in first though. Note that if you want to do this hike, it's another incredibly popular part of the national park, and it has limited parking, so get there early or get there late like we did. We're almost to the waterfall, but this has been a nice, relatively easy trail with a nice gradual incline. Pretty quickly, we were heading down the last flight of stairs to the top of the waterfall.
Whoa! That's amazing. That's incredible.
That is incredible. So the waterfall is incredible, but I mean, look at this side too. Look at that gorge. Wow.
Can I just say that the gorge is gorgeous?
Go ahead and leave a dislike if you want.
After you walk across the bridge, you can go up to multiple different viewing platforms for the waterfall.
You can see Pops right there.
This waterfall falls about 50 feet, but what makes it so impressive is the 3 distinct streams and the big gorge that it falls into.
And with that, the sun is setting on our day in Olympic National Park. This is an amazing spot. What do you think, Pops?
Beautiful, beautiful place. You gotta come visit.
Yeah, hopefully I can spend more time here in the future. There's a lot of stuff I didn't get to do. Plus, you can watch a different video I did on Mount Storm King in the description. We'll see you on the next one.
While we've reached the end of this video, there's so much more to do in Olympic National Park. The Hurricane Ridge area was closed when we were there, but that's another popular spot in the park. There's Lake Crescent, Mount Storm King, Marymere Falls, Madison Falls, and so much more. You can see a few more videos I've made on the area in the description, and we'll see you on the next video.